We're going to have Gavin Dixon, who, as I just mentioned, will be talking about sustainability. In particular, his title, as you can see, is Doing the Right Thing for the Wrong Reasons. Saving our environment.
Thanks, guys. Well, yeah, I'm going to talk about a little bit about philosophy and a little bit about economic systems and how the two interrelate and how our environment is seriously stressed and needs some help right now. So the first thing I want to talk about is the problem. I'm going to talk about my solution. I'm going to talk about the philosophy of that solution and the practice of that solution. So what is the problem? The problem is environmental destruction. Our world is suffering. It is not doing well. It needs our help because we have not been helping it for 100 years. There's serious waste problems and serious pollution, air pollution, water pollution. We're running out of drinking water. Even though our medical technology is advancing at leaps and bounds, our life expectancy is no longer increasing because of how we live and how we interrelate with this world. We're having serious climate change problems, which are threatening humanity. They're threatening everything else that lives on this planet. And we're having incredible extinction rates that have never been seen before. So this is the problem that our world faces, and that we as humanity face. My solution is to design systems of decision-making as like economic systems that allow people to make decisions that will not only benefit themselves, but will indirectly benefit the environment. So people can call it enlightened self-interest. People making decisions not really for the environment, but they end up having a positive effect on the environment. So first thing I want to talk about is what is doing the right thing. There's a couple things you can look at, different ideas. Deontology is a philosophical idea, duty-based. So in deontology, you just do something because it's the right thing to do. There is no other reasoning behind it. You just do it because that's what you're supposed to. That's how it should be. That's the right thing. That's the ethical thing. Utilitarianism is more kind of goal-oriented. You want to have the greatest good for the greatest number of people. It's about who wins the game, not how you play the game. Virtue ethics, kind of started by Aristotle, is character-based, so it's more like intention. So not necessarily, you don't always necessarily do the right thing, but you intend to. And then consequentialism is the idea where it doesn't really matter why you do something, just so long as the outcome is positive. So I guess when you're looking at what the right thing is, what am I talking about when I say the right thing? What counts? What matters? I want to look at a few different people's ideas on that. Immanuel Kant is a deontologist. He believed that what mattered was rational thinking. Things that could think rationally mattered. So basically his idea was that humanity mattered and everything else was kind of not necessarily as important, which is kind of interesting. You can look at that a lot of ways, but humans aren't the only rational beings, and some humans aren't rational either. So another guy to look at is Peter Singer, and Peter Singer he's a modern philosopher. He believes that what matters is sentience, or can you suffer? Things that can suffer matter. So you should pay attention to, or you should make decisions that positively affect things that can be hurt. So depending on how you look at that through biology or by just a general feeling, it could be anything down to muscles or just down to mammals. It's kind of up in the air. Aldo Leopold has this saying, let's see if I can get this right. It's Aldo Leopold's land ethic, that a thing is right when it positively affects the beauty. It's about beauty, the intrinsic value of the environment, anything in the biotic community, and really just the land in general, which supports the biotic community. And there's this other philosopher, Gavin Dixon. He has chopsticks in his mouth. But I believe that I'm kind of more of a consequentialist. Which consequentialism is just doing the effect. It doesn't really matter why you're doing something, just the effect. So I believe that, I'm going to go with Aldo here, that it's good when it's helping to save the environment, to save the natural world. But that while your intentions should be good, it's not necessarily important, especially when we're in the time crisis we're facing now, where we're running out of time to save our planet. So the ultimate goal is long-term development of sustainable morality. The problem with that is we're running out of time. We're running out of water, we're running out of, our world is struggling. We might not have time for our children, or even our children's children to experience So we need to make morality changes now, and we don't have time to wait for people's morality to change. So how do we institute these changes? It's through rewarding people for doing things that are good for the environment and start education towards the long term and the long term. But one thing, this is my main example here, is a really cool idea. There's a bunch of others in my thesis, but this is my favorite one. It's called the pay-as-you-throw program. There's a lot of programs around the country that are pay-as-you-throw. It's deals with waste management. So you pay based on how much trash you throw away. If you're throwing away a ton of stuff, you get charged a lot of money. If you're throwing away a little bit, you don't get charged a lot. So people are encouraged to not throw that much trash away. So how can you do that? You recycle more, you compost your food. The benefits of this are waste management companies become more efficient. They need less trucks. The landfill will last longer. And you have increased recycling, so you're saving resources, so less resources need to be reused from the environment. Also reusing things more often, so which is even less, which is even more important than recycling, really. You're increasing composting, which is really good for restoring topsoil, restoring nutrients to the environment without having to use intense fertilizers. Another idea that I talked about is mandated discounting. So you have retail stores. We have this very consumer society where you buy things, and you always get these plastic bags, or you always get a plate or a coffee cup from Starbucks that you throw away 30 minutes later. I talked about how governments can force retail stores to discount their products if you use a reusable bag, if you bring your own plate, if you bring your own cup. And this is good because it will eliminate waste, and it can eliminate costs for providers. Starbucks may not have to buy cups anymore if more people are coming in with their own cups. So that's a benefit for Starbucks and for you too, because now you don't have to throw anything away. You just have your own cool mugs, you look cool, your little candy cans. And the reason, there's a lot of talk of these banning plastic bags and just absolute ends to them. The problem with that is that we live in this very independent society where people like making their own choices. So if you give people the opportunity to make a choice, such as like, oh, obviously I'm going to bring my cup, it's going to be cheaper for me, why wouldn't I do that? Then not only you're making people think, which is really important, we don't do that enough today, and you're also getting people to think, when they start thinking about it, you're making them think about the indirect things like, oh wow, this isn't going to go in the landfill now too. That's pretty cool, and what else can I do to prevent these environmental damages? Another thing to talk about is subsidies. Subsidies can be good or bad. But what subsidies really are is a tool for making economic change happen in the short term. Because in a capitalist society, all things in the long term will balance out, and you get the perfect solution. But we don't have the long term right now. We need short term solutions. So there's a couple things. I don't have a lot of time to talk about them, but subsidies can be eliminated in growing food. That could solve the vast majority of our economic problems. Subsidies can be provided for alternative energy and for alternative transportation, and these in the short term will have positive environmental effects. The canceling out of those two subsidies means that we don't have to pay any more taxes. And the biggest thing is adding in education on everything. So no matter what decision we decide to make with how we run our economic system, we need to make sure that we're educating people along the way, or like why you make this decision, or at least even that these decisions are there to be made. It's too easy. It's so easy to just not think about it. But if you're presented with the information so you can think about it, it helps a lot. So education on the alternatives that can be provided, education on the benefits to you and the benefits to the world in the long term, that's going to create positive change. And while a lot of these are radical ideas that will change in the short term, with education, the ideas and the practice of these values in the long term develop more the morality.